we even see if the whole video comes out and we're out of focus.
You can't tell just by looking at this.
Can you tell?
I can't.
I'm always like, oh, I'm in focus, yay! And then I look back at the video and I'm like,
oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's in focus. Oh, I'm so...
No, I'm just kidding. No, it's
that was very in focus. That was nice. Oh, I loved it. Oh.
Oh,
my head. That's awful.
Okay, we're probably gonna have to talk loud.
Okay,
too.
it's loud. You can tell me.
Taste buds.
It's fine. It adds for laughs because our homeschooling story is boring.
Hi guys!
Konbanwa.
We've done this intro many times, so here
Yes.
we go. So today I am here with none other than my brother, お兄ちゃんのサムです。はい。왜? 왜?なんで笑うよ?
失礼。
失礼。
横から離れて。
コタクチがついてるし。
今離れて伝わったよ。
あ、門人が? Okay, here we go. Focus.
I'm trying to fill the space, not let you fill it. There's something wrong with space.
Okay, let's focus. It's hard enough as it is with my pea brain. Press home. Do you even have a... You don't have a lock on your phone?
No,
what is it with
it's
you?
so annoying to have to unlock it each time.
What is wrong with you? Put a password on your phone.
Don't you get annoyed unlocking it each time though?
With your fingerprint, it's just like 3 seconds.
Oh, see, fingerprint's never done well for me on the iPhone.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's not even 10 seconds. Oh, I forgot to do my nails. Wait, stop, pause. I bought nails for this. Is that vain?
I bought... Oh, no, that's not vain.
Is that not vain? Can we be back in like 2 seconds? Bye. Oh, we just wasted 10 minutes for that. Oh my goodness. We are back.
Oh.
ちょっと待って、ちょっと待って、ちょっと待って。キムチを今のがパンツ一丁で冷蔵庫に入れるキムチの A few days before Sam came from the US to Korea, I put a poll up on Instagram asking you all for questions that you had for us. One of the reoccurring questions was about homeschooling, and that was pretty like general over different audience bases all over the world, like all over the
different
world. That
regions?
sounds so pretentious.
No, different, like different countries, different cultures.
That sounded pretentious, but yes, everyone was asking about homeschooling, so I thought we'd talk about it today.
How much tea am I allowed to spill?
You are allowed to spill everything.
Wait,
just
can you do
keep
that?
in
Did you
mind,
approve?
tea.
Did that make sense in Korean?
See,
Spill
tea,
the
I'm
tea?
about to spill. No.
No.
Now he's getting sesame out of the refrigerator just in case anyone is curious. So today we want to talk about homeschooling, our personal experience, and I have to say that this is nothing more than our personal experience, and we both have very differing experiences, totally.
We have different ones, but also our experience is so unique compared to other homeschoolers.
Yes.
So it
Unique is putting it nicely, but
well,
yes.
I mean, it's so different.
Yeah, it's not
so
the
it's
norm
not a good example,
for sure.
but it might help on do's and don'ts or
More on the don'ts, I think, to be honest, but we will get into that. And I have to say, this is not a video bashing homeschooling because, well, for you it might be, but I have to say this in the beginning because some of you might not watch to the end. I actually plan on homeschooling my kids. Tay and I both do. Tay, not him, Tay, husband over there. We both plan on homeschooling our kids. I just want to throw that out there. This is not a bash fest. It's just our personal experiences.
It's not even advice because, again, our experience is so different.
Yes. Why don't you go into the reasons why you believe our parents, more so our father, because it was our father's idea to homeschool, and our mother just kind of went along with it.
So it was before we moved back to Japan. I was 7. You were
4.
But what I remember was our father really wanted to get us set with a curriculum or system that was American, and he didn't want us to go into like the public school system. I don't think he would have wanted it even in America.
But we were moving back to Japan.
Yeah,
so
we
he
were
didn't,
moving back to Japan.
Yeah.
So for our father, education, religion, lifestyle, all of that was very
language.
Yeah, tied together. He wanted us to be independent and out of like government reach.
That was my take on it. Mine take on it was like
take?
95% was religious. He didn't want us going to a secular public school. Also, he wanted us to retain our English. Kids who are biracial, like us, as they call us hafu in Japan, often lose their foreign language ability like English or whatever their second language might be if they go to public schools because they don't use it enough, and so on and so forth. It wasn't really education based, it was more religious and morality.
It was definitely
based.
lifestyle based.
I think both our parents, our father and our mother, weren't very interested in education, to be fair. Education was never an important thing to them. We went through like 3 or 4 homeschool programs.
We went through 3.
One was called HomeQuest. It was
yeah.
a like CD-ROM based, very analog.
Was it CD? There was a CD.
What do you mean there was a CD? Was there anything else? Was there any like?
Well, we had floppy disks.
Oh, the floppy,
Yeah.
floppy disks.
We took a 3.1 computer to Japan. I remember the paper you'd have to. It's one of
Oh, the one that people were like.
Well, that's the printer. It had reading, math, spelling, typing.
And we did
science,
that for a while.
Everything. It went through, I think, 9th grade.
And then the next one we did was called
A.B. Robinson.
A.B. Robinson.
Do we want to talk about that?
I'm sorry if there are any people out there who use A.B. Robinson who love it. See, I don't have anything bad to say about HomeQuest because I don't remember it. I was too young. But A.B. Robinson, I remember. Who introduced that to our father?
Are we naming names now?
Oh, do you know who? Oh, I'll beep it out.
And I think were on, but I don't know, maybe.
Okay, I'll beep that. Sorry.
I'm upset.
Again, anyone who uses A.B. Robinson and loves it and it works for them, that's amazing. It did not for me.
And let's explain why.
Let me explain why. So for math, we moved over to Saxon Math when we went over to A.B. Robinson because A.B. Robinson, the curriculum, did not include math. What A.B. Robinson included was reading and only reading. Nothing else.
Well, there was no curriculum.
There was no curriculum. There was no science. There was no history, anything. You would read and read and read and read these old classical books. And it was a very limited type of book. That makes sense.
A.B. Robinson's philosophy is that you can, with effort, master all areas of education if you just have the 3 fundamentals, which is reading, writing, and arithmetic. So that's why the curriculum consisted of, by Saxon Math, that was their math. Reading was their compiled library of novels and books that they deemed educational and also Christian friendly. The Hardy Boys didn't make it.
The Hardy Boys.
No.
If the Hardy Boys don't make it, this is like Convent on the Hillside.
Some
or like
40s edition of the Bobbsey Twins made it. And I thought, the Bobbsey Twins, why are there 4 people?
Okay, again, I'm sorry if this sounds critical. It's just, it didn't work for us because the one thing about this, the one thing, yes, that's true.
I got good literature out of it, but we could have done that by going on Amazon.com.
Yes, we could have. This required us to write a lot of essays and papers.
No, daily.
Daily.
The day would have to start off with some form of writing.
It was like free writing, I think.
I remember having to start the day before anything else with a written essay, poem, whatever.
Okay.
And you had to sit there until you got it done, basically.
But again, an essay needs, you have to have something to write the essay on.
A topic, yeah.
A topic. But we were coming up with like the clouds are white in the sky. I don't know what we were coming up with, but I would take it to our father every day, and bless him, he probably read 1 or 2 of mine and
probably because
never
yours were so problematic. Spelling was a challenge for you.
At 7, Sam, don't insult my intelligence.
I'm just saying.
No.
Mine were easier, so I think that's why he was like, pivot.
He didn't read it, that's why. You're so naive, Sam.
No, he corrected one thing. He said, don't use a semicolon. I was obsessed with the semicolon. So he didn't want to have to grade it, so I just did poems. And he said it was very intelligent, my rhymes.
Stop. He would read them. I would write them every day. I had this whole stack, but yes, he would never read them. So again, it didn't work for us.
Yeah, A.B. Robinson is awful.
Yeah.
It was
awful for us. It was awful for us if that's all
Their
you're going off of.
philosophy was also bad, though. I'm sorry. So impractical, so irresponsible. You can't let your children's adaptability validate your choice of a curriculum.
Anyway, so that was A.B. Robinson, and then
it was a dry spell.
Yes.
And then we found ACE.
No, it was also introduced to our father by someone. Accelerated Christian Education. So yes, I think that is still around. I looked it up the other day just randomly. It's still around. Not perfect by any means, but it was so much better than
Well, it was
A.B. Robinson.
structured.
It was structured. There was a whole like
It considered how do your records look from
records,
the
record
government's
keeping,
eyes,
testing.
state.
I have to say this before the end of the video, just because I don't think a lot of people are going to watch till the end, but homeschooling, in my opinion, can be the best form of education, possibly. If done right, it can be the best. If it's tailored to the child's needs, personality,
Learning style.
learning pace, style, it can be amazing because you can give an education that's tailor-made to your child for your child. But if done in an incorrect way, it can be the worst, potentially.
Well,
Yes, that's what I believe.
it allows you the option to choose good things for your child. But if you don't take responsibility and act upon that choice, the child will just end up with a neglected, empty
Yes.
education.
Yes, that
And
is
so
why.
it takes more responsibility.
Yeah.
But you have to make sure that you fill that in with activities, socializing.
As you say, it takes so much more effort if you want to do it right.
It's basically education
Further.
from scratch. You're either going to bake it or you're not.
Yeah.
No one's going to help you. You can't take a shortcut.
Yeah. And so the parents really going into this really have to do a lot of research and really know their child and be there for their child and all these things. And it can be a wonderful experience. And for us, I
The
honestly
motive is
don't
so
think
important too.
our parents meant wrong, but education was never really important to them. They never viewed it as something. They wanted to build our character and they wanted us to grow up with a certain moral compass, I guess, and in their own way, they meant the best for us.
I believe every parent who's considering it must very carefully and just very
Responsible.
have a raw one-on-one conversation with themselves and ask, what is my motive? And if it's to escape something, stop. Because homeschooling is not an escape. Homeschooling is saying, I will do more for my child because I know what my child needs. So that means you have more on your plate.
Yeah.
So it gets harder. But if that difficulty results in a fulfilling and satisfying experience, go for it. But if you don't have the capacity, that doesn't mean you failed as a parent, because a shoddy homeschooling experience is worse than a subpar public education experience, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because
not
we
saying
don't.
not saying that the public school system is subpar.
No,
we don't know.
it can be really good.
You know.
That requires research too. Every country's different.
It's just,
Finding
it's
a good
just a lot
kindergarten.
more effort. You know, it's a lot more effort, and you have to be really careful because
On it
you're
all day.
dealing with like these kids' lives, so it has to mean a lot. And you know, most parents are very concerned with their child's education and welfare and well-being, and we mean the best for our kids. Most of us do.
I'm helping you.
Tay and I both plan on, you know, homeschooling. We want to do that, but if it doesn't fit our child, and if our children eventually like voice their desires to, you know, go to public school or do something else, you know, we want to be open to that.
Yeah,
We're not like
flexibility.
go.
It's not hitosuji,
Yeah.
like this way or that way.
Yes.
Age may introduce different needs.
Yeah. And there's so many ways to socialize now.
This
anyway.
whole bad rep of homeschoolers being socially awkward too, that's not really directly because of homeschooling. I honestly don't
That's
think we exemplify awkward homeschoolers. Maybe I have a wrong self-view.
And who said awkward is bad either?
Well, that's true. No, awkward is so natural.
Yeah.
Awkward is genuine.
We lived above the church that our father was the pastor of, so there were always people coming in and out of our house. So we weren't really unsocialized as much as we could have been, but it was always with adults.
But it was through the church, so it wasn't really. We didn't
But like
really have.
近所のおじちゃんおばちゃん, there was a lot of people coming in. Our parents were very
Yes.
social. They loved having people over.
Yeah.
They would pick random people up off of the street, literally. Like if there was a cyclist, our father loves cycling. So if he saw a cyclist camped out, he'd be like, come over to our house, spend the night at our house. And our mother would cook them dinner, very social.
That is one
parents.
positive thing I will say. Our parents taught us, even indirectly, because this happened so organically, the ability to always motenasu, like omotenasu. Like it's not even conscious.
No.
I can make a party with tea and chocolate.
And so we used ACE after A.B. Robinson and until I graduated high school and went to Japanese university and until you graduated high school. It wasn't perfect at all by any means, but I don't think we should go into like the
I keep having
like the details.
We keep having to restart because I fill in details, and that's another conversation.
Your
so
brain fog and my my
brain fog.
My brain fog. I meant to say my brain fog. See, that's the brain. I said frog too. Never mind. Okay, moving on. Did you ever wish you, like any time growing up when you were homeschooled, did you ever wish that you went to public school or?
Oh, kind of. It scared me though because it was unknown. I was not athletic. I was very quiet and like yasashi, you know. It always scared me. Like I thought, what would happen?
Like you might
Kind
be picked on or
Picked
like.
on or just hated. And I'd rather not have friends than experience being hated by them.
Like bullying.
Yeah, that's why old people, babies, and dogs love me.
That's
They
actually a
do.
real thing,
Yeah.
and that's a whole nother topic. But back in the 90s and the early 2000s, kids who were biracial like us, as they call us hafu, often would experience like merciless bullying in public schools. Especially since there weren't a lot of us back then. There's so many like hafu now, especially more in Japan, I feel. I have a specific memory of when I was 7, I think, or 8. We were driving by that shogakko in Kinkai, and I looked over and the kids were all playing. It was recess time or something, and I looked at our father and I said, I want to go to school. I remember saying that. I want to go to school. And then I remember he didn't look back. He was just driving, and he kind of sighed and said, "Sweetie, I know. Trust me. Trust me. You'll thank me one day." And I said, "Okay." And that was the last I ever asked or ever talked about it. I am personally glad I was homeschooled.
Wait, oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
How can you not know? We always talk about that. I'm glad I was homeschooled. I'm so glad I didn't go to public school in
you are.
our area.
Okay, so overall, you wouldn't change it?
No, because I made it work. I made it work for me.
That's true.
I found
You did
out
make
how
it
to
work.
make it work for myself. But
You
anyway,
did make it work.
so I have another specific memory that I want to talk about. And again, this sounds bad. I don't want it to appear as if I'm bashing our parents. I don't want to do that. But this is honestly what happened, and it's part of the story, so I just want to say it here. So I remember when I was in the 3rd or 4th grade. I don't know how old that is. How old is that? 3rd or 4th
like
grade.
10.
Yeah.
Oh, 9.
10, I guess. I was called to the living room by my father, and I knew it was an official kind of conversation that was going to happen because, like, you know, your mother and I want to talk to you. So I sat down at the table, and they were on the other side of the table looking at me. My father had his arms crossed. You weren't there, actually. I don't remember you being there.
I remember this.
Yes. It's like, Stephanie, Mommy and I are very busy. We do not have the time to teach you anymore. So from now on, you can teach yourself. If you need help or if you don't understand something, just read the textbook over again. The answer will be in the textbook. If you fail a test, do the textbook over again until you pass the test and get it right. And I was so young, I didn't know to say, like, that's crazy, I need a teacher, because they weren't super involved to begin with, even when they were kind of teaching us or me. From that day on, from the 3rd or 4th grade, you and I both never received any help from our parents. We never had a tutor. We never had like a friend, a relative, anyone helping us. We were completely on our own. 3rd, 4th grade, so you were 2 years older than me.
I don't think it makes sense, even when I talk about it to professors that I've met at college, just how self-taught we are.
Thank
I don't
goodness for
know.
the internet. What would I have
You
done?
use the internet. I didn't have the internet. It was still bare bones when I knew.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't get a lot from
I
it.
mean,
I just, yeah.
I used YouTube a lot, but that was more fun. I'm alive, finally.
Anyway, so that is a specific memory I had of when their help or their guidance academically stopped. And from there on, we had these books. We would do the lessons and quizzes in between, read the material, and then at the end there was a final big test. if we got 80 or up, we could go on to the next textbook, and if we got less, we'd have to redo the whole book. Our parents trusted us. I think it was a mix of they really weren't that interested in our education in general, not just our education, but in education in general. Plus, they trusted us.
Yeah.
They genuinely trusted us
They
to not
genuinely
cheat.
thought the system would work and we were capable. Good intentions.
Again,
but
this is not all homeschooling. This is just personally our experience,
yeah.
because most homeschoolers, this is not the case. Yes, parents are super involved. It was so easy to cheat. I could have looked at all the answers and passed the test.
Girl,
and be
please.
like, Daddy, I got 100%. He would have been like, oh, good job, or whatever. But I was terrified. I was like, if I cheat and get through these books and get good grades, when I go out into the real world or in college, I'm going to be a dum-dum, and I'm not going to be able to pass any tests in college. I'm going to be like a failure in society, and I was so scared. So I honestly never cheated. I think there was one time I cheated. I looked at one question and I wrote it in, but then I felt so guilty. I gave myself like minus 10 points instead of like the -1 because I felt so guilty. Anyway, there could have been a lot of cheating that went down in our homeschooling, but honestly, I'm pretty sure you didn't. I'm positive you didn't.
I didn't cheat, but
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't very optimal because what I would do is I would cram, memorize, and then take the test. And I usually got 96 through 100.
See, that's so not a good way to learn. You know,
No.
it's just now there's so many homeschool programs that are so focused on the child actually learning and not
relive childhood
memorization.
just to
So many amazing homeschool programs out there. Just it blows my mind compared to our day. The homeschool community also, I think, is growing slowly in Asia as well. It's slowly, but it is growing compared to when we were. Like, people would look at us like,
takes
homeschooling?
pioneers.
Is that a religion? This was Japan in the 90s. And not only Japan, we lived in Nagasaki, which was quite a rural area, and Kinkai within Nagasaki was even more rural. There were no homeschoolers back then in Japan. Even now, I think they're very few and far between.
Yeah, Japanese homeschoolers. It'd be more like sushin kyoiku, but that's like something else.
And maybe in Tokyo, so it was very kind of
It's only
frontier.
it's only recent that homeschooling, like any
知
Japanese,
ってる人もいるかしら。
全然
まあね。
何ですかそれみたいな。
そうね。
通信教育って言えばでもちょっと違う。
Yeah.
You know.
I remember
ちょっと違う。
whenever like I'd finish school early, it wasn't on a time basis, but it was on a workload basis. So if I finished my workload for the day, I would go shopping, grocery shopping with our mom, and people would stare at us like, why are you not in school? I remember that, yeah. It's like, are you okay?
Yeah.
They thought there was something wrong with us. Like, oh, they're troubled, so they're not in school. I remember those looks. But, you know, they didn't really know any better. So we didn't have like co-ops to go to or other homeschooling families to like hang out with or help each other out with. We were just really all on our own, yeah, back then.
Yeah.
Homeschooling, again, is very free as far as time constraints go. In public school, whether you can keep up or not, the time is going to pass by and the class will come to an end. You can be staring out the window, you can be paying attention, so it's really
like a shift card.
up to you.
Punching your time.
But in our case, there are specific, like, there's work that needs to be done. So if you want to snail pace it through it, it might take 3 hours. But if you want to like focus and get it done, you can be done in like 30 minutes. Because I wanted my free time. I didn't want to be sitting there all day with the books. So I was like, let's get this work done so I can do whatever I wanted to do. So in that way, it teaches you responsibility, and there's a consequence to your decisions or actions, whether good or bad. Like,
And they're all in your control.
they're all in your control. Usually parents will be like, you know, you need to get on that work, or you need to be studying. In our case, we could have been twiddling our thumbs all day and our parents wouldn't have said anything. They
That's the
literally
thing.
would not have said
They would
anything.
never have.
Yes. But so I think because I knew that, it put like a
It put
fire
more
in me
pressure on
of
you.
fear,
Yeah.
like, oh, no one's going to like be getting on my case about
No.
doing school,
You
so
had a
if I don't
healthy
take care of
view.
myself, blah blah blah. So that worked for me.
It didn't for me.
I know.
But we'll talk about this some other time.
I know.
But it's
we
working
can talk about it
fine
now.
now.
We can talk about it now. But yes,
Oh,
that
that's-
style of home. So basically, you needed more structure. Anyone would have. It's not just like you're lacking for
I
needing
needed
structure.
more structure
Anyone would.
and attention.
Yes, I literally felt felt joy, excitement every time I opened up a new textbook. I was excited to learn. I remember that feeling, and that's what I think homeschooling can be for some people. And if it's not that, or even if it's public school, if learning is not excitement for new information or growth or whatever, what is the point? I mean, we still have to do it. I don't think just because we don't feel excited we shouldn't study, but it can be such a positive thing. It can be such a positive thing if done with joy and excitement. And so that's why it really has to be tailored to the child. So I say I didn't have a teacher, and I didn't, okay? But I have to say I struggled in math. Struggled.
Yeah.
We use Saxon math, and I think Saxon math is great. It can be great. There's a manual you can get with the Saxon math that not only shows you the answers, but like how to arrive at the answer. What is that called? Solution manual. Solutions manual.
The thing is, that's not even a helpful thing. That's a principle of math. Because when you go to college and take math, you have to put in all the steps you took. Having the right answer is not enough.
Math.
Yeah.
I have PTSD.
You had like anxiety towards math.
So there was this one problem, math problem, and I remember our father would say, you do it until you understand. You go back, read the book until you understand. I literally spent 2 days on one single math problem. I took it to my father and I was like, can you help me? And he said, no, the answer is there. You figure it out yourself. Crying. My spirit was broken. This one would always help me with my math.
I try.
You would help me. The most patient, kind, understanding being ever. This is the very unfortunate tansho I have. Yes. Tansho?
Weakness?
Weakness. It takes me a lot to ask for help, and by the time I ask for help, desperation, rage. So I had been crying over this book. I think I had like stabbed the book.
Stabbing is one thing. You were like goring it. You like press
I was
in.
like-
I didn't know a ballpoint pen could go so far into
It was
thick
so
paper.
frustrating, and I felt just
It was
broken. And by the
frustrating.
time I came to you, I had been going through this a long time. You were so patient. You helped me through it, and I figured it out. I would
Did
even
you?
snap
I
at
don't
you.
know.
I would
No,
snap
I'd be
at him.
writing and you'd be like, this is why I understand Lance when you're helping Lance, but then he's like, no, I got it. Okay. I want my fingers to be intact.
It's genetic. So thank you so much. This one
It was
helped
the
me
only
get
time.
through math.
We could have
just
helped each
barely.
other so much more.
I couldn't have helped you.
We didn't want help on math.
I wanted to do it myself because
Yeah.
I didn't want to be like the
But that's the whole
dumb
point of math.
Like,
Once it gets to a point where you don't understand it, you have to ask for help. It's so unproductive because you get in a rut. Math is like that. You get in a rut.
if you skip over one
And you
thing,
need
then-
someone to like grab your hand out of the nightmare to get back into the light.
the mire of despair.
And you were in that for so long.
I was, but you helped me so much, so thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. I wish I could have been better here and there. I
No,
mean,
you
to
were
be
great.
frank,
You were
you
great.
scared me. So, I mean, no, when you came down, the moment you stopped on the stairs, like, like, someone's going to die, or someone's going to solve the problem. Either way, I'm going to be like boro boro when we came out of it. Your voice was like, I want you to know, I want you to help me, but I don't want to be here.
For
And I was like,
you.
Okay.
I remember you would be on your computer and clicking and be like,
It's like trying to save someone who's trying to drown on purpose. You're gonna drag me down. I want to live. Live for me.
okay, bad analogy. Cause
Does it work? I thought that was pretty straightforward, but okay.
You really didn't enjoy
I hated it.
studying
I
the
hated
homeschool.
studying.
Yeah.
I
You love it
I
now.
loved learning. I just didn't know.
No, that's the thing. So again, this goes back to my point. It really has to be tailored for the child, or else it can be really detrimental. And the child can think, "Oh, I'm dumb," or "I don't enjoy learning." And that's what happens to even a lot of kids in the public school system. They can't keep up with the one way the school teaches, or the method of testing, and then they feel, "Oh, I'm dumb. I can't study," when that's so not the case, and that's such a waste for me. It seems like such a waste that a child would feel that way about themselves when all of these personalities, all of these talents in these individual children are thrown into a classroom, and there's like one method of testing, one method of teaching for all of these different kids, these beings, these souls. And there's some kids who are going to fall behind or who just cannot keep up with that specific method, that specific way of teaching. And it's so unfortunate. Those children feel they're dumb or they're less than intelligent than their classmates when it's just that system doesn't work for them. And so that's why I'm really interested in homeschooling, because perhaps my kids would flourish in a classroom, public school. I don't know. But I want to find a method that I feel, or even they feel, that they can really strengthen their strengths in the way they want to, and strengthen not weaknesses, but subjects they struggle on, but at their own pace and in their own way, where they're not just like swept along with everyone else, whether they can keep up or not.
For us too, we had an even less, it wasn't even like bad, it wasn't even homeschooling. It wasn't a proper system.
No.
So that's why you're not bashing homeschooling, because one, our experience wouldn't really fit under homeschooling.
No,
it's more like not schooling.
Yeah. We had books placed in front of us. Aidozo, and we had to make something of it.
And the other part is that homeschooling itself has grown so much. People are more resourceful, and I think it's become more open to people that don't necessarily choose it for religious reasons. So it has a wider audience.
Yes, I feel like the image of homeschooling is still like conservative Christian families do homeschooling, and that is still often the case, but there are so many people who are not doing it for religious reasons or political reasons or anything like that. They just truly believe it is the best option for their kids. So it's really changing. Our homeschooling system was really broken, and we had no help, no teachers, no aid at all, yet we're okay. So how much better, amazing could the homeschooling experience be, with a lot of love, a lot of research, care, attention, focus. And so I'm excited to try homeschooling with my kids, as there are so many amazing resources out there now. And Tay and I have had many conversations about how we can be really plugged in and what our kids need, and we might not always get it right, but we want to give it a go. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it can be a really positive thing if we get it right. And if our kids don't like it and they really want to go to school, that's definitely on the table, and we want to respect their wishes as well. So I guess this video is not really meaningful when it comes to homeschooling.
It wasn't very constructive. It had no direction. No one asked for this. But you know what? You're here. Also, shouldn't be like a political statement. It shouldn't be, is public schooling or homeschooling our friend, and which is the enemy? And I think good parents can also get stuck in a rut saying, what's the perfect way that I can be a parent and what's the worst way? And you have to be flexible. Life is about imperfections. If it doesn't work, switch.
Yeah.
Don't think so much like what society's gonna say. You'll have to work harder if you work against what is normal, especially in a homogenous country like South Korea or Japan. But that just means if you work harder, take more responsibility, and have love, you will survive.
Yeah.
You will. It just takes a little extra sweat, extra work. You got lost going to the campsite. Keep on trekking. The sun has set. Keep going. You will get there. That's what happens with education. You get lost.
Man.
Do they not make sense?
It's just like with subtitles.
Oh, the subtitles. Just have love.
We're so afraid of being different in so many areas of our life, yet we're dying to be unique. It's this paradox. Like we're always, it's the both. And you will be unique if you homeschool, for sure.
You're already unique. Love it or hate it, you stand out.
I think learning to be average is also important, and learning
being
to
okay
really
with
try
being
to be
average.
better. Maybe try
that
to
it's
be
not a good or bad thing. It's just there are more people like you in this category. That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. But always, whether public school or homeschool, always trying to be a better version of yourself. Always, not competing only with other people.
It's your journey.
Yes.
Embrace the fact that your choices will never be perfect, but as long as they're with love and flexibility.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not Lydia, it's Leora.
So guys, that was very disjointed. The baby's now up, so I have to go. I hope this made some kind of sense. I don't know if it will be helpful to anyone. I doubt it. But again, this is just our personal experiences and
thank you
our
for taking
history.
interest in.
If you're still here, Thank you. I'm sure this is a very long video. And I'm sorry this was all in English to our Korean and Japanese
Other
viewers.
videos will be more
本当にごめん
Japanese.
なさい.
I will,
죄송합니다.
yeah.
But
I
yes.
can't speak Korean.
See you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.